Columbia, South Carolina, a city alive with energy, especially on a spring night. The 5 Points district buzzed with laughter and music as students from the University of South Carolina unwound. Among them was Samantha Josephson, a bright, ambitious 21-year-old. That night she was out with friends, making memories. As the evening ended, Samantha made a responsible choice. She ordered an Uber to get home safely. She waited on the curb, phone in hand, following a routine so many of us know. A dark sedan pulled up. She glanced at it, perhaps tired, perhaps distracted, and believed it was her ride. She got in. The car drove off, vanishing into the night. It seemed like an ordinary moment, but it was the start of a nightmare. Samantha had entered the wrong car, a mistake with irreversible consequences. The city would soon awaken to a chilling reality. A young woman had vanished. The car she entered was not her safe ride home. It was a trap. What happened in those dark moments would haunt her family, friends, and community. The lively streets of 5 Points had unknowingly witnessed the first act of a devastating tragedy. A tragedy that would become a stark warning, a reminder of how quickly life can change. In a single, seemingly harmless decision, Samantha's fate was sealed. The city's sense of safety would be shattered, and a family's world would be turned upside down. The night's joy was replaced by fear and uncertainty. The story of Samantha Josephson was just beginning, and it would leave a mark on everyone who heard it. A moment of trust, forever changed. Who was Samantha Josephson? To those who loved her, she was Sammy, a beacon of joy and warmth. At 21, she was a senior at the University of South Carolina, majoring in political science. She had already been accepted to Drexel University's School of Law, aiming to specialize in international law. Her family, Seymour, Marcy, and her sister Sydney, were her biggest supporters. Samantha's laughter was infectious, her kindness genuine. She was adventurous, open-minded, and cherished by friends and professors alike. Her dreams were big, her future bright, but all that promise was about to be stolen. The world would lose her potential, her family, an irreplaceable light. Samantha's story is not just about a crime, it's about a life unlived, a future erased in an instant. Her legacy would become a call for change, and her memory, a reminder of what was lost. Samantha Josephson, a vibrant soul, taken far too soon. In the early hours of March 29, 2019, Samantha Josephson stood alone outside a bar in 5 Points. She ordered an Uber, expecting a safe ride home. A black Chevrolet Impala pulled up. Surveillance cameras captured her getting in, believing it was her ride. But it wasn't. Her real Uber was still minutes away. The man behind the wheel was a stranger with sinister intentions. In a moment of mistaken identity, Samantha unknowingly stepped into danger. The Impala drove off, taking her far from safety. It was a simple mistake, one anyone could make. But for Samantha, it would be her last. That single decision set in motion a chain of events that would devastate a community. The city's trust in everyday routines was about to be shattered, and Samantha's life was about to be stolen in the darkness. A ride meant for safety became a journey into terror. Inside that car, Samantha quickly realized she was not heading home. The driver, Nathaniel Rowland, had activated the child safety locks. There was no escape. He drove her far from the city to a remote area in Clarendon County. There, Samantha was subjected to a savage attack, over 100 stab wounds inflicted with a multi-bladed tool. The violence was shocking, the cruelty unimaginable. Her life ended alone, far from help. The young woman with dreams of law and adventure was gone, stolen in an act of unspeakable brutality. The news, when it broke, sent shockwaves through the city and beyond. Samantha's future was extinguished in a moment of horror. The world would soon learn of the nightmare that unfolded in that dark field, and a community would mourn a life lost to senseless violence. The tragedy was only beginning to unfold. As Friday morning dawned, Samantha's absence was quickly noticed. Her roommates grew worried. Calls and texts went unanswered. This was unlike Sammy. Friends and family sprang into action, retracing her steps and contacting authorities. Social media lit up with pleas for help. #FinSami became a rallying cry. The University of South Carolina community was on edge, hope battling dread. Law enforcement scoured the city, checking surveillance footage and following every lead. The hours dragged on, fear mounting. Then, late that afternoon, the worst news arrived. Turkey hunters in Clarendon County discovered a body in a remote area. It was Samantha. The desperate search ended in heartbreak. The city grieved. and a family's worst fears were realized. The loss was immeasurable, and the quest for justice had just begun. With Samantha's body found, the case shifted to a homicide investigation. Surveillance footage of her entering the black Impala became crucial. Investigators worked tirelessly, reviewing hours of video and tracking the car. The breakthrough came quickly. A patrol officer spotted a matching Impala in 5 points. The driver tried to flee but was apprehended. Inside the car, police found Samantha's blood, her cell phone, and cleaning supplies, clear evidence of a crime. The net was closing in on the suspect. The pieces were falling into place. The community demanded answers, and law enforcement was determined to deliver justice for Samantha. The face behind the crime would soon be revealed. The city braced for the truth, and the world watched as the investigation unfolded. The man arrested was Nathaniel David Rowland, 24, a local resident. His capture sent shockwaves through Colombia and beyond. Rowland had a prior conviction for domestic violence, but nothing to suggest such savagery. He offered little cooperation, claiming innocence. But the evidence was overwhelming. Samantha's DNA under his fingernails, on a multi-tool, and his DNA on her clothing. The city mourned, holding vigils and building memorials for Samantha. Students grappled with fear and anger, their trust in rideshare safety shattered. The community's sense of security was gone. The face of evil had been unmasked, and the demand for justice grew louder. Samantha's story became a rallying cry for change. The tragedy resonated far beyond Colombia, and the world would not forget her name. Nathaniel Rowland's trial began in July 2021, more than 2 years after Samantha's murder. The courtroom was filled with grief and determination, Samantha's family present every day. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence, surveillance footage, DNA, and the murder weapon. Testimony from experts and Samantha's loved ones painted a picture of loss and horror. Her mother's victim impact statement moved the court to tears. The defense tried to cast doubt but offered no alternative suspect. Rowland did not testify. The evidence pointed squarely at him. The trial was a painful journey for all involved, but it was also a search for truth. The community watched, hoping for justice, and Samantha's family waited for closure. The verdict would soon decide Rowland's fate, and the world would see if justice would be served. The memory of Samantha guided every moment in court. After 2 weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated for just over an hour. The verdict: guilty on all charges: murder, kidnapping, and possession of a weapon. Relief and sorrow swept the courtroom. Judge Clifton Newman sentenced Rowland to life in prison without parole. He condemned Rowland's actions as heartless and inhuman. Samantha's mother addressed her daughter's killer, her words filled with pain and anger. For the Josephson family, justice brought some closure, but not healing. The void left by Samantha's absence could never be filled. The sentence was final, but the loss was forever. The community mourned, but also found strength in unity. Samantha's story would not be forgotten. Her legacy would inspire change, and her family's fight for justice would continue. The tragedy had ended in the courtroom, but its impact would last for generations. Samantha Josephson's death was a senseless tragedy, but her family refused to let it end there. They became advocates for rideshare safety, creating Sammy's Law Stop, Ask, Match, Inform. Stop before entering a vehicle. Ask the driver, "What's my name?" Match the license plate, car, and driver's photo. Inform someone of your ride details. These steps can save lives. Sammy's Law led to new safety measures in South Carolina and inspired national change. Rideshare vehicles now display illuminated signs, and penalties for impersonators have increased. Samantha's story sparked a national conversation about safety and vigilance. Her legacy is one of awareness and action. Samantha's light continues to shine through the lives she protects. Her name is a call to always ask what's my name. Her family's strength turned tragedy into hope, and her story reminds us all, never take safety for granted. Samantha Josephson's memory is a beacon for change, and her impact will never fade.